conference hosted delegates from across the country, comprising of eminent academicians, researchers, and practitioners from both public sector and private sector, with an equal impressive presence of CSOs. We had a galaxy of highly qualified and experienced speakers spearheading CSR initiatives from reputed organizations like ONGC, NMDC, Dr. Reddy's Lab, Shanta Biotech, BDL, Ramki Foundation, GMR, Brilio Technology, CRY, HelpAge, and Akshapatra. A distinguished lecture was also organized on strategizing CSR for sustainable business by Shri Deepak Kumar Hotaji, Director HR BEML. If we see the whole 2 days program, we had Mrs. Veena Swaroop, Director HR EIL. She discussed on the AGREE model of CSR. Dr. Samar Verma in his inaugural address gave a great emphasis on responsible business being the key. Professor Rath distinguished the concept of philanthropy and CSR. And throughout the 2 days, we had 4 themes majorly discussed during the CSR conference, and we had 13 sub-themes. The 4 themes were various aspects of changing CSR perspective in India, best practices in CSR, CSR through collaborative mode and strategizing CSR. We also discussed on various sub-themes like mandating CSR, project mode, CSR in education, CSR in health, CSR in women empowerment, CSR in child and nutrition, CSR and reporting it, CSR in water management, and CSR in senior citizen healthcare. So we have attempted to have a holistic discussions on various aspects of CSR. We believe that this conference has led forward in creating an awareness of the latest thinking on CSR issues as a driver of change, innovation, and nation building, and a sustainable tomorrow. We look forward for more of your support in our future conferences too. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It is indeed an opportunity to read about Mr. Rakesh Kumar, Director Finance, Navali Lignite Corporation Limited. Sir is a commerce graduate with master's degree in business administration in finance. He joined NLC in 2012. Prior to his joining in NLC, he has associated with various important projects of BCPL and GAIL, like HVJ pipeline project, CNG projects, revival of Dabhol power project, lignite and coal-based thermal power projects, renewable energy projects, benchmarking using WAC and leveraging technology through ERP, e-procurement and e-banking, mobilization of resources, including equity, debt, domestic as well as international market, etc. Presently, he is heading the finance department of NLC and introduced various systems for effective control in finance and accounts, treasury and risk management, budgetary and cost control, tax planning, corporate governance, etc. In recognition of his contribution made in the financial management, he has been conferred with Achievers and Leaders Award Finance and Finance Leadership Award. He has also been conferred with BT Star PSU Excellence Award for his outstanding contribution as Director Finance in PSUs of Maharatna Navratna category. He has extensively traveled abroad, including US, Europe, and Japan. May I request Sir to give away his valedictory address.
Respected Professor Mishra, Mr. Babu, my colleague, Dr. Poonam Singh, Dr. Sarkar, Sulagna Sarkar, my colleagues from various public sector undertakings. I was seeing a variety of participants, many sectors, oil and gas and coal, power group, and then we have private sector also, faculty members from this institute, research scholars and students, dear students. First of all, thank you so much for a very, very warm welcome. And as usual, Professor Mishra was appreciating me And I don't think I deserve that much appreciation. He will always motivate us with his kind words, appreciation, and then definitely it also becomes a boost to perform better. So he has been on our board of directors earlier, and a very big motivating force to drive many initiatives. What he was praising was actually was his own direction and his own work, what he did in NLC as a board member. He has given the direction and we are following it. I'm very much privileged that such a good conference on CSR, eminent speakers like Dr. Rath, uh, Director HR EIL, Madam Veena, and Mr. Sameer. So many eminent speakers were there, and they must have given a lot of inputs, information, not only academically, but also must have energized the group with a lot of questioning, triggering issues, deliberating and giving their views on those issues. So that way I'm privileged to address this session here. If we see CSR, this is one area where India is really achieving a remarkable position in the world on the international scenario. India is the first country to have mandated CSR spending statutorily. Our statutes have provided for spending this money. This is our privilege that our country is the first country. If we see the total spending of Fortune 500 companies, out of $15 billion spending, that is the magnitude of 500 Fortune 500 companies, and India has spent more than 1 billion. Just 2 days back, there was a statement by our Honorable Finance Minister that 460 listed companies have spent 6,337 crore on CSR. That is the place of India. We are marching ahead. We are very much conscious to this aspect, this requirement of the society. Let me take you back of those old days of industrialization when the first focus was on manufacturing. If you produce in bulk, you are the winner. Industries will set up biggest manufacturing facilities, and then they started producing more, but those products were not getting sold. So they started focus on selling. Whosoever is selling more is the winner. So selling became the focus. Then we came to marketing. Selling is not sufficient, We have to take care of the consumer's need, after sale service, some satisfaction, addressing the requirements of the consumers. There was a shift on marketing. Then came the concept of societal marketing. That marketing is not enough. We may be manufacturing, we may be taking care of the products we are trying to produce as per the requirement of the consumers, but ultimately whether it is doing good to the society or doing harm to the society. So CSR is also getting evolved as the next stage, because ultimately if we don't focus on our own human being, our people, our country, our society, we will not be able to survive. That is for sure. So overview is this. Now we can study law, we can study the issues, we can study the progress, we can study the allocation made, stakeholders who are to be made aware, what is the kind of policy we are making, what is the reporting we are doing in our annual report. Those are all secondary issues emanating from this basic concept. So if we see, a shift in the philosophy on CSR spending, earlier it was thought to be parting profit. I am going to part something out of my kitty for doing something good for the society. So there has been always a discussion whether CSR is reducing our profit, whether it is a burden on us, whether it is an obligation only. And the second winner view emerged. No, CSR is rather increasing our profits. We are being perceived as the caretaker of the society, therefore we are acceptable. Not only in our products and services, but also in our projects, in our growth. Wherever we are going, we are welcomed. We are expected to do more. We are always entrusted with such more and more responsibilities, and we are keen to do that. Here, our PSUs have definitely played a very vital role when CSR initiative was in the nascent stage. Last year itself, when we are talking about 6,337 crore figure, 460 listed companies, it comprises of 51 PSUs. And their spending is 2,382 crore, which is approximately 40%. Numbers may be less than 10%, but spending is more than 40%. That is the role of PSUs. It is not the money. Please understand, it is not the money. Here I would like to share our experience, as Dr. Mishra was mentioning that NLC did a great job. Of course, we are proud of our initiatives in this difficult time also. But let me share that how CSR has to be viewed out of the boundaries of the CSR objectives and policy. On 8th November, when suddenly we witnessed the highest rain in Neyveli, highest in the last 100 years. Two directors and CMD, myself, Director Power, and our CMD, Mr. Acharya, we were coming from Delhi. We landed at Chennai. It was raining like hell. And Mr. Acharya straight away went to Neyveli. He took the risk. He said, I can't stay back. And our Director Power was coming from some other side. He was not accompanying us from Delhi. So he came little later at the airport. And I said, okay, fine, I have to sort out these issues in Chennai. I will be coming in the morning. And that was it. Mr. Acharya, with great difficulty, taking 5 hours instead of 3 hours, when driving was almost driving in a cloud with a lot of uncertainty, he reached Neyveli. And we were faced with power cut. Airport, all flights were cancelled. Our Director Power landed there but could not proceed anywhere because he was not able to go out. So first and foremost duty was to take him out. Well, I tried to contact CISF in charge there at the airport, and then came to know that he is also stuck somewhere at a distant place, and he is feeling helpless that he can't do anything. Whole night, all the passengers were stranded there, and it was raining and raining, and then communication was almost cut, except BSNL. BSNL was working. Again, public sector. BSNL was working, and early morning, because it was a sleepless night, we were trying to, find out and try to save, try to resort to certain minimum measures. Next day morning itself, then we made arrangements to take director power out. Then we set up a control room. Although our employees were not available because of the water logging and continuous rain. But there were, I remember in the morning at 6 o'clock, some 7 employees who were residing nearby area, and one employee with his family was standing on the road because his house was evacuated because of the flood risk. First and foremost, we took him to our guest house with family. Then we set up a control room. Then we started. In those difficult conditions also, we were not thinking only for our employees. And you will not believe that after setting up that control room, in the next 48 hours, we were getting calls not only within Chennai, but also from USA. Somebody's parents are staying there. They are not knowing what has happened to them. Somebody who has come on tour here, but not able to connect. This was the situation. Then with great difficulty we went to Neyveli, and there our all executives, they have never witnessed such kind of rain and such kind of water logging in the township. It has never happened. But immediately after overcoming, we started a WhatsApp group. We started collecting the information that what all we should do. All mines were submerged. Power stations were flooded. Power generation got halted. No mining activity. And then we were given a communication from the state government, because we immediately after the rains were over, we wanted to take the water out of the mines so that we can start our operations. State government was at the helm of the affairs. Their highest officers were traveling and visiting and putting a lot of pressure. Don't evacuate your mines because it will flood the villages. So we were stopped there. Then all the people who were involved in the operation maintenance were diverted. We started organizing ourselves how we can help our surrounding villages by sending our vehicles, by sending water, by arranging food packets. Immediately employees, in spite of facing all this immediately next month's salary they contributed wholeheartedly. NLC also contributed. We gave the fund to our Chief Minister, Tamil Nadu. And we, not only that, we sent our teams to Chennai with our pumps which were spareable, idle. We sent them with generators, with vehicles, with our teams to evacuate the water out of the waterlogged areas. So CSR is not following a policy, not spending the efforts or money on the earmarked goals. It is a helping hand to the society where we must not restrict ourselves. That's why NLC has spent 47.6 crore as against the newly mandated obligation of 41.7 crore. We have, in spite of the fact that now, as you are aware, with new guidelines as per Companies Act, the percentage of spending is increased, percentage is worked out on the profit before tax, and you have to, there are so many other obligations also that if you don't spend then you have to report. So this money is not allowed as an expenditure for the income tax purposes. In spite of all this, we, in the very first year after the new guidelines were issued, we overdid it because of the requirement we felt. NLC is making a lot of initiatives in education, women empowerment. Here I would like to stress one more thing, that water bodies should be given the topmost priority. I feel more than education also, because next world war will be on water. So we must be proactive to see to it that we are able to preserve our water resource, our water bodies. We are able to make this water resource available to next generation, to our own people in the society. That should be our first and foremost. And NLC has done a big job in this regard. We have spent something like 15 crore rupees out of 47 crore on the water bodies, cleaning of nearby water bodies and making the water available. Although all these good stories about CSR, CSR is a very noble objective, India is taking initiative, we are doing very well, and we should do more. Policy, framework, stakeholders, everybody is interested, everything is in place. But I want to draw your attention to few aspects which need urgent